Okay, let's just jump right in. If you have spent even, I don't know, 5 minutes on Black Twitter or TikTok or YouTube in the last decade, you've seen the clips.
Oh, you've definitely seen them.
The shouting, the sweating, the declarations about who's a sellout, who's a coon, all of it.
We are, of course, talking about Dr. Umar Johnson. And calling him a polarizing figure is, I mean, it's probably the understatement of the century. He calls himself the Prince of Pan-Africanism.
Right, and for so many people, he's basically a meme. You know, the guy's screaming into a phone about why you shouldn't celebrate Christmas. But today, we're not just looking at the memes. We're going deeper.
A lot deeper. We've got a huge stack of transcripts here. Hours of recent lectures, interviews, live streams from late 2025, early 2026.
And what we found is that when you strip away the theatrics, there's a very specific worldview under it all.
Exactly. We're looking at the system behind the shouting. Because Dr. Umar, he's not just an internet guy. He's a certified school psychologist. He claims to be a blood relative of Frederick Douglass.
And he's built this entire movement on one, frankly, terrifying idea.
Which is that Black America is facing immediate extinction.
Extinction. I mean, that is a heavy word to start with.
It is, but for him, that's the baseline. He believes Black people are being destroyed from two directions at once. From the outside, you have these systemic government agendas trying to, depopulate the race.
And from the inside?
From the inside, it's a lack of economic discipline and what he calls sexual confusion.
So our mission for this deep dive is to really map that out. We're going to look at his school project, which is a saga in itself, his theories on dating, and some wild conspiracies about celebrities and politicians.
And we have to start with the school. It's the centerpiece of his entire career. The Frederick Douglass Marcus Garvey Academy, the FDMG.
This is a project that just, it never seems to end, does it? He started fundraising for this. When was it?
Way back in 2014. He told his donor class, as he calls them, that he was building a residential school for Black boys to save them from the public school system.
Okay, so for years, everyone was asking, where's the building? Where's the money?
And then in 2019, he got one, bought a building in Wilmington, Delaware. But, here we are looking at stuff from early 2026, and it's still not fully open.
And the reason for that delay is where this gets really interesting. Because you'd think he'd blame the system, right? The white power structure, zoning laws.
But he doesn't. Looking at these transcripts, he puts the blame squarely on Black people.
Black contractors specifically.
Black contractors. This is the great irony of the whole saga. His entire philosophy is group economics. Black people have to spend money with Black businesses.
But when he tried to do it,
it was, in his words, a disaster. He claims he couldn't find a single Black plumber, electrician, or roofer who would finish the job properly.
The quotes are just brutal. He says people would take the deposit and just disappear, or do work so shoddy it had to be completely redone.
Yeah, he literally asks his audience, who can we find that's not going to take this money and run? It's a moment of, you can hear it, just real frustration.
So it's a huge paradox. He's preaching Black self-reliance, but his own experience tells him he was, quote, scammed by the very people he's trying to uplift.
So what do? Does that mean the philosophy is wrong?
Well, he doesn't change the philosophy.
Oh, pivots. He pivots to spirituality. He calls it divine timing.
Which sounds incredibly convenient for a blown construction schedule.
It's very convenient. The argument is, if the school isn't open, it's because the ancestors don't want it to be open yet. It's not a project management failure. It's metaphysics.
But not everyone is buying that.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a whole world of YouTubers, he calls them the struggle streamers, who are always asking, where's the money, Umar?
And this is where his leadership style gets, let's say, authoritarian. His stance on accountability is just refusal.
He only answers to donors.
That's it. If you didn't write a check, your opinion doesn't matter. He says he has a record of every donation, and if you have a question, his first response is, show me your receipt.
No receipt, no answers.
No receipt, no answers. He just dismisses it as hate.
But things almost fell apart recently, didn't they? The school was almost sold at auction.
It was a terrifyingly close call for him. A bureaucratic mess-up over a vacant property registration fee. He claims the city sent the notices to the wrong address.
So wait, the Prince of Pan-Africanism almost lost his headquarters because of some unpaid paperwork.
Yes. A supporter apparently saw a notice pinned to the door and called him just in time. He frames it as the system trying to steal the school, but it also points to a pretty chaotic operation.
Grand vision, messy execution. That seems to be the theme. Okay, let's shift from the economics to the the social ideology. This is where he gets most of his online heat.
We have to talk about bunny hopping.
Bunny hopping.
Yeah.
His not-so-flattering term for interracial dating.
Specifically, black men with white women. He calls the women snow bunnies. And for Umar, this is not a matter of personal preference. Love does not exist. He sees it as an act of war.
He actually uses the word genocide in these transcripts.
He does, and he seems to mean it in a mathematical sense.
What does that even mean?
He breaks it down to his version of genetics. He argues that the black phenotype, the physical traits, is recessive. He says that in 3 generations of mixing, the blackness is effectively gone.
And he has a timeline for this.
He does. He predicts that by 2050, black people as an identifiable group in America will be gone.
And they'll be replaced by what?
By racials. And for him, that's a political disaster. No more NAACP, no more black fraternities, no more black voting bloc. Because who are you organizing? There are no black people left.
So when he sees a black celebrity with a white wife, he doesn't see a couple. He sees a traitor.
He sees a mental illness. He literally diagnoses it as low racial self-esteem, the subconscious desire to be white, to be accepted by the white world.
Okay, but what about the other way around? What about black women who date white men? Is it the same standard?
He tries to say it is. He claims he doesn't support a double standard, but there's a big loophole.
I thought there might be.
He gives black women what he calls a demographic defense. He'll cite stats from a city like Atlanta and say, look, for everyone, able-bodied, heterosexual, mentally healthy black man, there are 3 or 4 black women.
So the women are forced into it out of necessity.
Exactly. While the men are doing it out of self-hate, it lets him police the men's choices while still uplifting the black queen.
You mentioned heterosexual in that list. That brings us to another one of his huge fixations, the zesty agenda.
Right. Zesty, spicy, sweet. He uses all these code words. He rarely says gay, probably to avoid getting banned on YouTube, but you know exactly what he means.
And his theory is that there's a coordinated effort to feminize black men.
A government-sponsored effort. And he blames one person specifically.
Barack Obama.
Barack Obama. This is one of his most out-there conspiracy theories. He believes Obama was a Trojan horse, installed by a shadow government for one reason, to mainstream gay marriage.
For what purpose?
Population control. The logic is simple. Same-sex couples can't reproduce. So if you make homosexuality trendy in the black community, you're essentially sterilizing a whole generation. He calls it the zesty monster Obama unleashed.
And he also goes after the black church in this.
He despises the modern megachurch. He sees them as businesses that take tithes but build no schools, no banks. But the darker part is, he thinks there's an effeminizing agent in the church.
An agent? Like in the Kool-Aid?
He says it metaphorically, but he insists there's a gay secret society of black pastors. He compares it to the Catholic Church scandals, alleging that it's a hunting ground for grooming young men.
Which he calls an intergenerational demon.
Yes, he believes molestation creates a cycle of predators. And he connects this directly to that recent wave of lawsuits against all these high-profile black male celebrities.
Let's get into that, because he spent a lot of time on Diddy, Tyler Perry, T.D. Jakes.
He calls it the war on black male celebrities. He sees a pattern, powerful black men being targeted to have their wealth stripped. But he doesn't always say they're innocent.
His take is more complicated.
It is. Take the Tyler Perry case. Men accusing him of harassment. Umar's theory is that this was gay for pay. Meaning they had consensual, transactional relationships, sex for a movie role, for clout. But when they didn't get what they wanted, they sued. Extortion.
So he's blaming the accusers.
He is, but he's also criticizing Perry. He's like, you're a billionaire. Why are you using your studio to meet guys? His whole warning is, don't mix the bedroom with the business. He sees it as being careless.
And what about the Will Smith story? That one was really strange.
So bizarre. The allegation from an ex-employee, Brian King Joseph, about his bag being dumped out, and specifically his HIV medication and a hospital note being left on the bed.
Just an incredibly specific detail.
It is. And Umar actually sympathizes with the guy on the medical privacy part. He says that's wrong. But he defends Will Smith by asking, did Will Smith touch you? He argues it sounds more like a management screw-up than sexual assault by Will himself.
It's like he's trying to protect the idea of the black patriarch, no matter what.
The black man is an endangered species to him, so even when they're wrong, he defends them against the system.
And that system thinking extends to politics.
Yeah.
If Obama is the zesty monster, what's Donald Trump?
A crash dummy.
A crash dummy.
That's his term. He thinks Trump is compromised because of his connection to Jeffrey Epstein. Umar's theory is that Zionists, as he calls them, are blackmailing Trump with whatever happened on that island.
And he uses the Diddy case as proof.
Exactly. He says Trump should have pardoned Diddy, but he didn't because it would make him look sympathetic to a sexual predator, which would just remind everyone of his own Epstein problem.
It all connects in his world. Even brought that Minnesota food fraud scandal into it.
The Feeding Our Future scandal, yeah. $250 million stolen. The leaders were a white woman and a lot of Somali immigrants.
And as a Pan-Africanist, that had to be a tricky one for him.
He was furious with the Somalis. He called it tactical stupidity. He's yelling, "How dare you steal from the poor?" And more importantly, "How dare you give Trump ammunition to deport Africans?"
So it was a bad strategy more than bad morals.
That was his main critique. Don't get caught scamming white people's money in a state like Minnesota. It makes you an easy target.
Speaking of food, he made this claim that really stuck with me about school lunches.
Oh, that they're prison food.
Yeah.
Yeah, he states it as a fact, that state governments recycle leftover prison food to feed black kids in public schools. It all fits his narrative that schools and jails are just two parts of the same machine.
Okay. We've covered the school, the politics, the conspiracies, but we have to talk about the man himself. Because for someone who preaches so hard about the traditional black family, his personal life seems
Complicated is a very polite way to put it.
He's a bachelor with multiple kids from different women, and someone actually called him on it.
Yes, in one of these transcripts, a woman in the audience just asks him straight up, "Why do you have all these children but no wife?"
Wow. How did that go over?
It got tense. His defense was that the mothers tried to trap him into shotgun marriages, and he refused. But it's how he talks about them that's so jarring.
The nicknames.
Mama Smurf. Evil vegan.
Evil vegan. It's not exactly Black Queen rhetoric, is it?
It's not. It's childish. And then you find out his eldest daughter has publicly said she hasn't seen him in over a decade.
A decade. And this is the guy lecturing other black men on fatherhood.
He blames her. He blames social media, says he won't be disrespected. But it just completely undermines his message. You can't be estranged from your own family and then sell yourself as the savior of the black family.
Like he sees himself as separate. The rules for the mission don't apply to the man leading it.
He literally says his life is a drama, not a comedy. It's a messiah complex. He's too busy saving the race to have a stable home, even though a stable home is the product he's selling.
That brings us to one last piece. His relationship with history. He has this revisionist take on Martin Luther King Jr.
This is actually one of his more grounded arguments. He says the sanitized "I have a dream" version of MLK is a lie. The government didn't kill King over a dream. They killed him over the check. The money. The poor people's campaign. King was pivoting from civil rights to economic revolution. He was planning to set up tent cities, shanty towns on the National Mall in D.C.
Which would have been a global embarrassment for the
A
U.S.
total nightmare. And Umar argues King was becoming a Pan-Africanist, that he'd visited Marcus Garvey's grave and realized integration wasn't enough. So he's basically trying to say, see, even MLK eventually came around to my way of thinking.
So when you step back and look at all of it, the school, the theories, the personal contradictions, what's the final picture?
I think you're looking at a man who has correctly identified very real wounds. Economic exclusion, the breakdown of the family, that feeling of being under siege.
He validates that pain.
He absolutely validates it. But then he wraps the solution in these wild conspiracies, really rigid gender roles, and a total refusal to be accountable. He diagnoses the illness, we lack power, but the prescription is this mix of self-reliance and just total isolationism.
He wants to build a school for the community, but he can't seem to work with the community to get it built.
And that's the tragedy here. He demands independence, but his version of independence looks a lot like being totally alone.
Which leaves us with a final question for you to think about.
Yeah.
Can you actually build a real movement, a school, anything, if you refuse to be accountable to the very people you claim you're trying to lead? Or does true independence just mean you end up as a leader with no real followers, only donors?
That's the question.
Thanks for diving deep with us. We'll see you on the next one.